Welcome to this week's video lesson where we're going to kick off sky science, and we will begin by understanding how to classify bodies in the sky based on whether they emit or reflect light. So let's get started. Our learning goals for this week are: I recognize that the sun and stars emit light by which they are seen, and most other bodies are seen by reflected light. I can classify bodies in the sky based on whether they emit or reflect light. And our language goal: I can describe and classify bodies in the sky using the vocabulary words sun, star, emit, and reflect. Where does light come from? There are two different ways that light is passed along. It can be created by a light source, we call that emitted, or bounced around, reflected by other things. Now, heads up, you're about to learn two really important vocabulary words, so pay close attention to this part. The word emit means to give off or let something out. The process of emitting something is called emission. Stars emit light. The word reflect means to bend or throw back or bounce back waves of light. Actually, you can reflect sound or heat or any other kind of energy, but we're just focusing on light right now. The process of reflecting something is called reflection. Planets, satellites, moons, asteroids, and other celestial bodies or bodies in space reflect light. Now, what do we mean when we say some objects emit light? Well, for example, a burning candle emits light. That means that the flame is actually giving off the light that you see when you look at it. How does a candle give off light? Some of the energy from the flame is released as light that you can see. There's also energy released in the form of heat, as anyone who's been close to a candle flame or any other flame will know. You can feel the heat coming off it. So flames are releasing light and heat energy. What we see when we look at the flame is the light energy that it's giving off or emitting. What other objects can you think of that emit light? Here's a couple of examples. A flashlight emits light. A light bulb emits light. A star emits light. Some objects reflect light. We're used to thinking of reflections as images of things we see in a mirror, but we actually only see reflections because the shiny surface of the mirror reflects the light back at our eyes. There are many surfaces that aren't as shiny as mirrors that can reflect light, though, well enough to be seen, especially against the blackness of space. In fact, any object can reflect some light, except black holes. But any other object can reflect some light. The lighter an object's color and the smoother its surface, the more light it reflects. That's why your mirror reflects light so well. It's so smooth. And then the silver behind it is so light. But what are some other objects that reflect light? Think about this now. Here's some examples. The moon, which is Earth's satellite, the other planets in our solar system, asteroids, and other bodies in space reflect light. Water. Now think of smooth water, like the surface of a pond, a smooth, still pond, or a puddle. Water can reflect light. And people reflect light. Really, anything except a black hole, as I said, can reflect light to one degree or another. Let's talk about classifying bodies in the night sky. Now, we call these celestial bodies, or in the olden days, they sometimes called them heavenly bodies as well. Objects that emit light are stars. We know our sun is a star, and like all other stars, it's a natural source of light. Objects that reflect light: Moons and planets don't make their own light. We can only see them because light from the sun and stars reflects off of them. Stars are the sources of light for the whole entire universe. They come in many sizes, shapes, and colors and are made up of many different materials that give off or emit different amounts of heat and light. Stars create light because they are always burning. They're big balls of fire in the sky. Stars are actually very far away, much farther away from us than the other planets in our solar system. And the light that we see from stars travels for a really long time, years. It says years, but it's actually more like centuries or millennia, which is thousands of years before it gets to us. In fact, since stars are always moving and it takes so long for their light to reach us, most stars have actually already moved by the time we're able to see the light from their last position. So, in a very real way, looking out at the stars is like looking back in time. Now, scientists or astronomers, when we're talking about scientists who study space, describe stars according to their brightness using a scale which they call magnitude. And our sun's a pretty average star. It's a medium-sized star in our galaxy, which is kind of like our neighborhood in space. And it's kind of on the outskirts of the galaxy, not near the center, which is actually a really good thing for life. But it's not the brightest star. It's kind of in the middle. It's not the biggest. It's not the brightest. It's not the hottest. It's pretty middle of the road. But that actually turns out to be really good for us because it makes it quite conducive for the survival of living creatures, us. So I hope you enjoyed this little introduction to stars and objects that emit or reflect light. And get ready to learn lots more really cool, fascinating stuff as we continue to learn about astronomy or sky science.